I resawed the... Take 4,500.
You cut.
Hmm?
You just cut.
Resaw.
Are you just making up words?
No, that's an actual word because that is the technical term for it.
Would it not be recut?
No, shush. So we're on to plan B for the body. The bent ply will work, but not with the tools and kind of what I've got available, or at least not to a level that I'm happy with. So I've gone to this big slab of beech, which I've resawn this down its length, and I've got 2 one-piece slabs from it. This is going to be the top and back of the guitar. This one, obviously I've run through the thickness, planer, levelling, router, sled, jig, this. And I've given it a quick sand with 40 grit sandpaper just to get all the ridges and things out. What I will say is beech is really hard. 40 grit barely touches it. Now I've got to do the same thing with the other half. So I've got it all attached down, fixed in place on my router sled. I've got my depth there. I've got my depth set on the router, and I'm going to find a dust mask and make some dust. And noise, lots of noise. That is both pieces, top and back, thinned down and roughly sanded. One is slightly thinner than the other, not, probably about 0.5 millimetre thinner, so I'm going to use that as the top. Just because the back tends to take a bit more of a beating against things like your belt buckle, your body and things. The top, if it wears through, just looks cool. So I've got the shape marked on here to get where everything fits perfectly. I just need to do the same on this side. So I'm kind of laying it out where I can fit within the confines of the actual blank and where the grain looks pretty. So I can now take this over to the bandsaw and cut these out. need to cut out the back of this enough to fit this piece into. So what I'm going to do is set up my router sled again. I've marked off where the extent of the body is going to sit, and I've roughly cut it with a saw. All I need to do is take the router and clean up this so it's nice and flat at this depth, and then I'll use a chisel to tidy up this edge, and then this will sit perfectly, and then we'll have to do the same on the top. It's starting to come together. That turned out quite nicely. I like to use a spiral cutter with a bearing on the end to do the outline on tops like this. It just reduces the risk of chipping out and losing chunks of the top, which I don't want to do. Obviously, that would be bad. But it does leave a little bit of a burr on this side, because obviously with it being a spiral, it cuts in one direction and brings the grain whichever way. This one is downward spiral if it's in a router table, or is it an upward spiral in a handheld? I can never remember which way they actually label it. I'm going with downward spiral because I like 9-inch nails. My router bit is getting a bit tired. I think I'm probably due a new one. So if anybody's got any good suggestions, I can't remember where I got this one from, I've had it a while, let me know in the comments down there somewhere. I'm just going to give this a quick rub with sandpaper and clean up the edge. I'm sure there's people sat there screaming at me saying that's not a guitar body, that's a top and a back. And I'm sure there are other people screaming at me going, that's Ben's guitar from the Great Guitar Build-Off. It's not. It's better. What I'm going to do is, the plan was originally to use the bent veneers and radius the top, which then bent into the sides and the back, and use the same piece to go all the way around on both sides, and then to cut the shape out, which would have left a hole here, support here and here, and the same on the opposite side. So obviously when you look from the neck or the butt end of the body, you've got a tunnel that runs straight through there. And obviously the hole in these areas. Bending the veneers wasn't working, but I don't want to lose that effect. So I've got some more of the teak that I used for the neck here, and I'm going to cut some of that into strips a little bit thinner than what I'm left with on the neck blank, and I'm going to bend the top and the back, which is going to take some doing because it's very solid stuff, this beech. I'm going to radius both the top and the back and attach the sides, which can then be cut away to create the same effect, probably a little bit more solid. It'll give me a little bit more support where I need it, I think. We'll see. What I need to do really is get the top and the back recessed and in position so I know how thick my side pieces need to be. And then when I've done that, I'm going to need to get these bent and figure out exactly how wide I can go. I'm going to do a lot of thinking out loud whilst I do this, because I've never done it before. What better time to figure things out than whilst you're recording yourself? It's a bit toasty outside today, so I've had to open the big door, so you're going to have to excuse the noise. I'm right next to a main road. On a slightly more guitar related note, I've got the two side chunks of Wenge cut and roughly tapered to fit the sides. I will finesse them and get them to fit properly once I've got the top and the back actually bent to the right shape. But to do that I need to radius the top and the back of this neck block. A while ago I did a radiused top on and back on another guitar, and to do that I actually made, I think it's about 42 inch or something daft like that radius block, which worked quite nicely, and I think that's about the right radius for this. If not, it's a lot closer than anything else I've got. So I'm going to use that and get the neck block itself radiused roughly to shape, using the bigger tools to get things rough and then finessing it more by hand with finer tools. It makes life a lot easier. So, move those out of the way. I think we'll start with the back.